Today, I'll be reviewing some White Wings Choc Chunk Brownies. I got this from Coles half price for $3. Remember, baking at home is always cheaper if you get the pre-mixed stuff. And always buy things on half price. Additionally, I'm going to be chucking in some extra chocolate to hopefully make this more fudgy. The more chocolatey the brownie, the better, in my opinion. Additionally, in this pre-mixed ingredients, you also need 2 eggs, butter, using the Costco brand, and some milk. And just remember, as I love to promote on this channel, baking stuff at home will always be cheaper. If you go and buy a brownie outside the shops, you're gonna be paying probably triple to quadruple the cost. Yes, it might taste a little bit better. However, the gratification of making the brownie itself is so much better. You won't know until you try. And now I'm gonna be unboxing this. I'm not sure what's inside. I'm pretty sure they do include choc chips, but I wanted more chocolate. And that's why I said again, I bought this bad boy. Choc chips, on the other hand, are so expensive. I went to buy some and the most expensive one, $9, and the Coles brand one, $4. I mean, well, $6. This was $4 for a similar amount of choc chips. And yeah, who'd thought that the price of inflation for chocolate has increased so much? Okay, let's open this thing. They really make it hard to open. Okay, clearly they don't include choc chips. It's a good thing I bought extra chocolatey things to add to the cake batter because I think it might end up kind of boring. It never really ever looks like what's in the picture. I can see little choc chips there, but where's my choc chips? What can you do? It was $3, I can't complain. The chocolate itself, this one was $4. So far I reckon these brownies will cost about $8, $9 probably, and that serves about 9 people. Isn't that great? First things first, we're gonna be chopping up the chocolate. The only downside of buying chocolate that's in a block, you have to cut it up into smaller pieces yourself. But in my opinion, if it's like Belgian chocolate, it's gonna be much better quality than using the regular choc chips. I'm gonna use the entire block. I was gonna skimp out and use maybe, I don't know, 150 grams, but I want these brownies to be as fudgy as possible. So let's open this up. I'll actually break it up inside the packet first. Oh, these feel pretty chunky, but that's okay. There we go. So I'm gonna cut these into, I reckon, halves like that to make it the right amount of chunky, because I sort of do want a bit of chunky chocolate in there. I think that's what makes it more fun. Imagine having little bite-sized pieces in your brownies. The only concern I have about chopping up these chocolate bits is that it might sort of just melt into the brownie and you lose the chocolatey goodness, unfortunately, but what can you do? I do want to taste this. Here's a very small piece. Okay. Silky smooth chocolate. Not bad for $4, Coles. Perfect. Now this is what I like about the pre-mixes. All you really need to do is add the wet ingredients. So 2 eggs as recommended by the pre-mixed packet. Put that down. 100 grams of melted butter. Get a silicone spatula. They're incredibly useful for scraping out all of the sides of butter on a bowl. And I think that's it. And some milk. I'll be right back. It does say put water in it, but milk will make it that much creamier. I believe water in any pre-mixed packet as a mixer to dissolve things is a diluter of flavor. So if you're making, like, I don't know, pre-made marinade and ask you to use water, like taco mix for example, use chicken stock instead. It'll bring out the flavors meat so much more. That's about 20 mils, I think. Now with my trusty whisk, we're gonna putting this together. If you have a, what do they call it, a KitchenAid, this will make it a lot quicker, but I want to make these brownies just to show that you don't need expensive equipment to bake these stuff. Or these things, I should say. Whisk it until you don't see any of the egg. Oh, look at that. Now we're gonna add the pre-mixer. Don't do this at home, everyone. Use a pair of scissors. I just can't be bothered going to get it. Don't do as I say, not what I do, as they would like to say. So I'm gonna chop this, cut that. And all you need to do is add the mixture into the bowl. I'm sure there are better brownie recipes out there, but not everyone has time to find an ingredients list and put it all together. And that's why these pre-mixes are really good for that. So I'm gonna add the powder in first, mix it in, then put the milk chocolate. I know it sounds unhealthy, but when you see the brownie batter get together, I sort of just want to eat it raw, like really thick shake, but I know it's probably really bad for me. Oh, it's a workout. I got a forearm pump from mixing this in. You should be able to see that sort of consistency right here. It should look something like that once you mix it all in. And once that's done, try to get as much off the whisk as you can. I am gonna lick the batter just to see what it tastes like. That's the exciting part of making cake. I can see there's a little bit of chunks there. Let's see if I can scrape it off. I don't think I can. Oh no, I'm making a mess. Okay, that's the best I can do. All right, let's taste the brownie mixture. Oh, that's decadent, dark, bitter, and sweet all at the same time. I could literally eat this batter as it is, but I will not. I'll put that in there. Now, we don't want to use the whisk to put in the chocolate because it's probably going to get caught between the gaps. So we're going to use the silicone spatula to fold the chocolate squares inside. Yum. I'm really hoping that when it bakes, it doesn't just dissolve into the cake batter. I'm hoping there's little chunks of chocolate inside. So let's fold it in. That just looks amazing. It's crazy how you don't need fancy equipment. Unless you're gonna be a baker, and you don't really need to follow recipes unless you're, you know, want to make it harder for yourself. But some of these pre-made, I'm sorry to say, is pretty darn good. Just licking the batter itself showed that it was darn sweet and tasty. Takes the measurements out of things. Yes, you do need to buy extra ingredients to combine them together, like eggs, butter, and a bit of milk. Don't use water. Now that's all mixed up, we're gonna grab our baking tray. It recommended a square baking tray about 5 centimeters thick, 20 centimeters in length. Hey, it's the perfect size. All right, so what I like to do is I like to spray the tray with some oil because that helps stick the baking paper to it. Baking paper is like the holy grail of baking, especially when it doesn't stick to the pan. It's such a pain to wash when it's burnt and encrusted into this thing. Anyway, for those who haven't baked, this adds a sticky coating for the baking paper for it to adhere to, so that when you pour the pour the batter into the baking paper, like so, it doesn't move everywhere. So we'll put that like so. We're gonna push it down, and as you can see right there, it's already sticking to the tray. So the best way to do it is just do that until you get the four corners like so. And what I like to do is I like to fold it inwards like so. All right, here comes the favorite part. Look at that. Look at that chocolate. Ooh, I don't want to tilt it too much. There we go. We're gonna pour it right into the tray. That's all we need to do. Now that the baking paper is stuck to the square pan, and make sure it's in the right angle. Sorry guys, there we go. We're gonna pour this batter into the tray. Look at that. And they say baking is hard. It definitely isn't, unless you're doing it from complete scratch. But just remember, there are pre-made mixes out there that make it a lot easier for everyone. And we're gonna now spread this. That's the best I can get of all the bowl. I reckon that's pretty clean. What do you reckon? I could get some on the side, but I'm gonna lick some of this later. But let's spread this out. It will eventually sort of melt once the heat gets into it and it'll flatten out, but I try to get as much of it down as I possibly can. Always use the spine of the blade if you're gonna, as in this part, the blunt side, if you're gonna scrape off the silicone, because you don't want bits of plastic inside your brownie. And that's it. I forgot to mention that before you put this brownie batter in and mix it together, preheat your oven for 180 degrees, and apparently, according to the box, for 30 to 35 minutes. So let's shove this in. I'm pretty excited about the result, or what the result will be. I'll put that there. Here we go. Now I'm gonna set the timer for 30, I'll go 30 minutes. I like it to be a little bit underbaked. Let's make it 33 minutes. And now we play the waiting game. All right, in about a minute, the oven is gonna go off. So let's wait any second now. Remember to grab some oven mitts so you don't burn yourself. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes our brain goes farty and then, my hands, you know. So it's always best to be prepared. All right, any second now. Any moment. So how's things? Oh, there it is. Whoa, that looks gooey. Have a look at that. Oh, let me just turn that off. I'm gonna keep the oven going just a little bit because to test whether it's cooked, you're meant to poke the center of the brownie and only a little bit of moist crumb should come out. Oh, I'm a little bit worried. I tapped that and the shell sort of already broke. The outside sounds all right, but let's quickly have a check. All right, dear gosh, I hope that this is cooked properly. And actually, here's a good way to do it. Don't do this at home unless you're ready to potentially burn yourself. I'm gonna touch the base of the brownie tray, the baking tray. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Okay, I think it might be cooked through. All right, let's have a poke through. Yeah, I think that's looking a bit moist. So I might have to leave it in there for a little longer. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up the tray and turn it on grills, just so the top can cook as well. So there's even distribution of heat. Okay, let's put this back in. I'm gonna put this down. We'll go 6 minutes because we did open the oven door. And if that's the case, the heat will come out and we need to sort of technically preheat the oven a little bit longer. So I'll be right back. Okay, round two, it's about a minute to go and we're gonna wait. So leave in the comments, how are you doing? I'd like to know. But in the meantime, you can wait with me or skip 30 seconds for this code to go beepy. What I came to realize is that I should have let the heat that was burning my hand, the residual heat that is, to bake the rest of this brownie. But that's okay. We live and we learn. That's what life is all about. And now, how about now? I got it. Let's turn off the oven. Boop. Oh, now that's looking a lot more nicer. Look at the crust on that. Ooh, all right. I reckon it's definitely cooked through now. I don't want to bake it any further because it will lose the fudginess if it's too well done. I've got a question for you. Do you prefer your steak well done or medium rare? It's sort of like making brownies. If you cook it for too long, it's going to be dry and sad. But if you leave it too raw, it's just going to taste like chalk fudge. All right, chopstick test time. That is looking a lot better. When I took it out, there wasn't as much fudginess on top of it. I'm gonna poke in less center. Yeah, that's looking good. I think it's not gonna cook any longer. And the worst part about this is that you have to let it cool before you chop it. If you cut it now, it's essentially just gonna fall apart. And because I do need to take these brownies to a potluck, I'm definitely gonna need to put it somewhere cooler quicker. So I've made some space in the freezer to make that happen. All right, that does taste good. Let's chuck this in the freezer, but before we do, always make sure you put something below it so you don't melt the plastic. So I'm gonna chuck this wooden thing in my freezer. I'm gonna turn the camera this way for a moment. There we go, hi. Now we're gonna let this cool as quickly as we can. We'll give it an hour. Hopefully it'll fit. There we go. That should do it. Ideally, I'd like to cook it at room temperature. Sorry, not cook it, bake it, let it cool at room temperature, but we gotta get this done quickly. So I've got about an hour or so before I meet my friends. I'm also gonna let my parents have a taste so that, you know, bring back the originality of these original videos. And okay, I'll see you all in about an hour. Bye-bye. All right, it's been about 45 minutes. I can't wait any longer, so I'm gonna bring the brownie mix out of the freezer, not brownie mix, the brownies. So, chuck that down there so it don't burn. It's still a bit warm in the center, but it feels cold on the outside. I think it should be right to be taking out. You can see that it's sort of shrunken down a bit. It's not as puffy as before, but that's okay. So we're gonna bring this out, yank this out. Oh, it feels solid. I put my hand underneath and only the bottom part feels a bit centery, soft. Oh, I've got to spray grease on the baking tray. So I'm gonna wipe that out. And we're gonna cut them into about 16 slices. So let's peel the sides across. Looks like the center's all goods. Nice. Hold on, let's try some of the dough. Crunchy. So let's cut this up real quick. This is me being impatient. I'm gonna regret this really badly. Hey, not bad. Look at that. It's moist, but not gooey. That's what we want. Sorry for pointing a knife at you. Oh, beautiful. Look at that fudgy goodness. We don't want it to be dry because it won't taste good. It'll be dry and crumbly, which absorbs all the moisture from your mouth, and it's not an ideal umami feeling, but in a very bad way. There is sure a lot of fudginess. I'll be right back in a moment. Because I want to taste the fudginess of this, I'm gonna scrape this, both sides. Look at that. Cheers. Wow. Oh my God. That's so nice. It's soft, fudgy in the center. And I'm glad I left it in the freezer because it actually helps solidify the brownie itself. I'm gonna go call my mum and dad for them to take a taste test. I'm only gonna give them half a slice of a slice because they're diabetic and it's important that I keep their sugar levels not too high. So give it a moment. I'm gonna call out my parents, and my uncle is also here down from Sydney. So he's gonna be featuring in my video. Oh yeah. Hello. This is my whole entire part of my family. My dad's probably gonna put it straight in his mouth, so I'm gonna give it to his last. Con cho ba miếng bự nè, cho mẹ miếng nhỏ. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Yummy không? Ngon không? Hay cũng được thôi.
I eat learning outside, soft and sweet inside, but my sweet.
Yes, very good. my godson can speak English better than my parents can. So yeah, thank you for joining. Cảm ơn godson nha. Yeah, bye bye yeah. Bye bye. I gotta try it myself as well. I got one last quarter left right here. Look at that. I can see that the chocolate that I chucked in there is melted in, which is perfect because it's gonna give it a more richer taste, which I'm about to find out right now. Well, oh my God. I think that Belgian chocolate from Coles into the brownie mixture gives it this chewy, gooey, and yet very melty chocolate taste, almost like a ganache. Brilliant. That's delicious. And guess what? All of this costs $8. I reckon I could literally take this out to a bake sale and sell each of these slices for $3 to $5. Business idea. Open up a bakery where I just use pre-mixed stuff and sell it to the public. I might be onto something here, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna be making this channel a baking channel and sometimes a self-improvement as well. If you have something that you want me to review, like a pre-mixed cake or something, let me know. I'll put it down below. And if you have some recipe ideas that are not your standard Western food, as I did before. I did Samoan Pani Popo, but if you have something that you want me to try making, and it'll be the first time, let me know in the comments below. All right, I'll see you all next time. I'm Tan on a tangent. Bye-bye.